Good morning. It's Mike on the mic here for Tempo Tuesday. Happy Tuesday, everybody. Got a special treat for you this morning. PF sits down with Naraj Vora from the Stride Shop to go through all the unique and novel ways that the Stride Shop helps runners to stay healthy and then to get back out on the roads when they do face some injuries. It's got a wide-ranging set of topics, and we're going to break this up over a few episodes. But without further ado, I give you PF and Naraj from the Stride Shop.
All right. Hey, good morning and welcome to another Tempo Tuesday. My name is Pat Fellows. My friends call me PF. And today we have a special guest. We haven't done a lot of, you've heard mostly me and Mike talking, but today we have a special guest who reached out to me and who I met mostly, I don't know, this might be the first time we met in person. Yeah, but I think his name is Naraj Vora, and he owns the Stride Shop with another, what's your partner's name? I apologize.
Ryan Hill.
Yeah. And so they own the Stride Shop, which I'm going to turn it over to him in just a second to give you a full, a better explanation, right? But it's a PT-based running strength rehab.
Yeah, clinic,
right?
Yeah.
Okay, good. I didn't I didn't have the tagline, so I'm glad that I got that right. But I have sent some of my high school athletes to you, as well as some of my other athletes to you, and you've been generous enough with sending the Fresh Junkie Fit Club some videos and on just mobility and things runners can do, just to try to help them out. But today you and I are gonna. I want to know a little bit about. I want to know everything about the Stride Shop, how it came about, your background, and where we go. So I'm gonna let you let it rip.
Sure. Yeah. Thanks for having me. First of all.
Well,
so the Stride Shop was an idea that myself and RT, so Ryan goes by RT, kind of had talked about for a while. We met each other in New Orleans working at a sports medicine physical therapy clinic, and kind of kicked back and forth the idea of having our own place so that we could do things a little bit differently. And with the way that healthcare, and especially in our experience, physical therapy is going, it's how many patients can you get in the door and get
Right.
them out, and so it finally came to a point where we were like, we need to do something differently, both for ourselves and for the people that we see. And so we went through all the things that we thought were necessary to open up a business, and we opened doors. And of course, you find out there's way more to it. But we opened our doors in a small space in New Orleans in 2019, September. Both of us have a passion for running and physical therapy, obviously. And our space has evolved over the years. Our figurative space, meaning like who we work with and how we work with them, and what we're aiming to do. We had no clue that we would have a Baton Rouge space at this point, but we did know from the beginning is what we wanted to do was offer endurance athletes as well as just active people a place to go where they could sit down and talk to their physical therapist or their coach and say, this is what I'm looking for and I'm not getting it elsewhere, or I haven't gotten what I wanted, or this is the kind of care that I want, and offer that in a space that it hasn't been offered, at least here. Like I said, things have evolved over time, but right now it's I think we're starting to get a grasp of what we really want to do, and that's spend one-on-one time face-to-face with people who come through our door and tell us what they're working through, what they're working on, and what they need help with. And where we used to work and we would get 10, 15 minutes to spend with somebody, there were so many details that were missed. And you know this, like working with an athlete that you're coaching, the amount of time that you put into an athlete that you're coaching is tremendous, right?
Well, and the amount of time sometimes that it takes to build a rapport for them to be able to explain to you exactly what's going on. Absolutely. Right? Like sometimes it's, they say I'm hurting or whatever, right? and especially with younger kids, but we can get into that. But getting people to understand the difference between soreness and injury,
Yep.
and like this is a problem, this isn't a problem.
Yep.
Like I can imagine, yeah,
absolutely. I mean, if you talk about an injury with a runner and you have 10 minutes, you're going to miss what their training has been like. You're going to miss what things feel like. You're going to miss something. You're going to miss their footwear. You're going to miss what their preparation was, what their warm-ups are like, all these things that we have to cover, what their medical history is, all that kind of stuff. And so we've gotten what we think is a lot better at being able to spend time with people and come up with practical solutions for athletes. It's not just rest, and if it's not better in 2 weeks,
You mean you don't put everybody in a boot for 6 weeks and get them immobile?
I think that what we're used to is either go to physical therapy or go rest and try to run again or do whatever your activity is again. And if it's not better in 6 weeks, we'll talk about an injection or surgery, right? And the reality is most orthopedic conditions, 6 weeks is nothing.
Right.
It really isn't. And so setting realistic expectations for people, having people buy into what we think is going to be helpful for them, and just having somebody who, like, if they have an issue, they could, for the most part, they can text us, they can email us, they can call us. And people don't abuse that when you are able to spend time with them and say, like, this is what is expected and this is what I think is helpful. And call me, text me if you have any questions too. It's, almost entirely
legitimate questions. I don't understand this. What should I do about this? Yeah, I find that too with the people I coach in general. Like I don't, as the world has moved on, not a lot of people jump on the phone anyway.
Yeah.
But I'm like, hey, I'm willing to. You can text me from 5 a.m. to 8 p.m.
Yeah.
and expect to get a response from me then.
Yeah.
Or if you really need a call, I'm willing to do that. But for sure, like that, when you have that rapport, when you have that relationship, and everybody is on the same page, it certainly makes. I don't. For the most part, people don't abuse that.
No, not at all. I think the opposite. We've grown to be good friends with a lot of our clients and athletes, and I know that you're the same from the people I've worked with that you've referred to me, and so the clinic is growing in New Orleans quite a bit. RT was deployed for about 7 or 8 months this year, and since he's been back, he is growing the clinic pretty well there now. And Baton Rouge, we opened about a year ago, and are starting to get the wheels turning a little bit in terms of word of mouth and making great relationships with people like yourself. And good work, I think, will speak for itself over time. And if you're doing good work, things will happen. And so hopefully that's the way that we're trending. But we've got our 2 clinics, and we offer physical therapy, obviously, for injured athletes. We do strength training and performance training for runners who are looking to get a little bit more guidance and what that should look like for them, whether that be during a training cycle leading up to a race, or whether that be an off season or just kind of an ongoing thing. And then we also do individual coaching like yourself. So we're really enjoying the space we're in.
I think that it's probably, and y'all clearly y'all realize this, like a lot of people go into, my son's I just told you, he's went off to college, and he's interested in exercise phys and maybe in PT. What a lot of PTs don't realize when they're into it, a lot of especially athletes that go into it, is they think they're going to be working on athletes. Yeah. And that's just not the case, right? Like 99% of the business is not athletes.
Absolutely.
And so to be able to figure out a way to do that, to me, is what there goes the dog. I knew it was going to happen. I think that's special. I think it's cool just from being an entrepreneur myself and being able to do it, but to also to be able to show that, and maybe there's not room for 20 different people in town doing that.
Right.
But there's always a niche for it, right? Yeah. And I think that there's a way to service those athletes, and to be able to do that, I'm sure for you as a PT is way more. Yeah. Because they're probably. I don't want to say that all the people that come to you aren't vested, but I mean, there's a lot of older people, there's a lot of injured people, there's a lot of people that don't really have the physicality to do things that I'm sure it can be. I know some PTs, and for them it can be very frustrating.
Yeah, I mean, our service is definitely not the same as what you'll find in a lot of traditional PT clinics, and the fact is, a lot of people benefit from going to those clinics where they go 3 times a week, 2 times a week, because really to get better, they just need to move.
Right. Well, and for me, I'm certainly not poo-pooing that part of PT.
Yeah.
But I think that I guess what I'm thinking of is, so many PTs that I know that were athletes.
Yeah.
Who thought,
I'm in
there
that
was
boat.
going to be this was going to be my opportunity.
Yeah.
And not just, being naive and going home and work for LSU and be on the sidelines. Like, not like, okay, that's a little pie in the sky. But, even just being able to work with people who are athletic, who have goals, who are wired the same way as you, like, those
huge.
are the things that you want to work around, right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean.
I thought I would be working with soccer players, truly, when I came out of college, went into PT school, and even coming out of PT school, aside from that short period of time, I thought I would be a pediatric physical therapist, which fizzed out pretty quickly. I thought I was going to work with soccer players. And early on, out of school, I got to work with a semi-professional soccer team in Chicago and saw some soccer players. But, as I got into grad school, soccer was not a thing for me anymore, organized soccer. And so I started running. And so it kind of developed over time where I started seeing more endurance athletes, and I started working with a couple of doctors in Chicago who saw a lot of endurance athletes and learned along the way. And luckily, my path led me to places where I could continue to grow. And so when the Stride Shop happened, that was something that, maybe only the previous 4 or 5 years before the Stride Shop opened was something where I really, really had this desire to work specifically in that space. Before that, it was like, if you're an athlete, if you move, I want to treat you a lot. But yeah, the opportunity to do what we're doing now is worth every bit of the hard parts of entrepreneurship. It's pretty cool.
For the most part, the good news is, you like me, you get to wear a t-shirt and running shoes every day, right?
Exactly.
Somewhere along the way, you're not hireable anymore, by the way. Though, to be fair, I mean, a lot of PT clinics, you get to wear scrubs every day. So it wasn't like you had to dress up, but, really a lot of this kind of front end of this conversation and talking about the Stride Shop, and I'm gonna let you, we've met today, and we're gonna cut this into pieces because this first episode is gonna air that we're talking about, and we are going to move down some different ideas that you and I've kind of texted about, and some different things, beyond just who you are and what you do. But I think it's important to, and especially for the people that listen to this podcast, to know that there are opportunities, especially in South Louisiana, to get specialized care for runners. I mean, the reality is I don't know many 50-year-old, 40-year-old dudes are still playing soccer. Yeah. Right. Like I used to swim when at Crawfish Aquatics from time to time. There was always a group of guys, my age playing basketball, and I used to call them, all the the orthopedists dream, like, because they're going to blow out a knee, like,
absolutely,
because they're not training this. It's hard to maintain and be able to be in basketball shape one day a week.
I start over 40 soccer on Sunday. So
do you? Very big. Good luck for you. But the reality is that endurance sport provide a gate or an opportunity for people to still stay athletic long into their lives. Where a lot of sports just kind of fizzle out because they're too rough on you. Yeah, I mean, they're rough on kids, let alone adults.
Absolutely, and that's a big part of what we try to do as well. Is that you've been around this community for a long time, and there's always the people who are like, will give anything to be their best, fastest, strongest in the next 6 months, 9 months, year. But at what cost? And so for us, when we approach clients and athletes, sure, there's some urgency when there's a race coming up or a kid's in their junior, senior year and they need to perform. And so urgency exists, but I would be irresponsible if I wasn't thinking about each client's longevity. Is this person going to be running 10 years from now if we do this the wrong way? And if I miss a certain diagnosis and tell somebody that, don't at least warn them of the signs, am I putting them in a catastrophic situation so that, those things run through my head all the time. And so for me, always, maybe we end up on the conservative side that way, but running, like you said, is an opportunity to stay healthy and stay active for decades.
Yeah.
And so if we do things the right way, it's a reward in a lot of ways. So that's how we approach things.
As a coach of high school students, every year, and I don't have the meeting every year, but most of the time during the year, I'll have a meeting with the parents, and I'll for sure tell them, like, here's the deal. Like, there's 2 kids on this team that may run in college, but I want all of them to love running when they're my age. Yeah. So we're not a high mileage program, and we're just not, we want to compete. We want to be our best, and we want to do all those things. But, a year that we get through without any injury, to me, is just as successful as being, having a state champion or a runner-up or whatever, because that means those kids got to run the whole year and weren't. I mean, injuries are terrible for young kids. And, like, I don't, I think a lot of the running culture misses that, in this kind of how it kind of glorifies mileage and, and being pretty much unhealthy, right? Like, especially at younger ages, especially for girls. There can be so many negatives of it. Longevity and doing things the right way is certainly, is the mindset we should all, all have. But, I understand. I also have at times not done everything right because we all are victim to do as I say, not as I do.
Absolutely, yeah.
But for the most part, I think you have to practice what you preach, show them where the opportunities are, and do that. So before we get out of here today, what's the how do we get in touch with you? How do we book an appointment? What are the, without digging too deep into each, you can as much as you need, but you said you do PT.
Absolutely.
You also do one-on-one sports specific strength training.
Correct. Yeah.
Mostly for running though.
Mostly, yes.
But I would say you could probably say swimming and triathlon, endurance sports in general would fit into that.
Absolutely, yeah.
And then, do you do any group classes like that?
We haven't. We've done some group training in New Orleans.
Okay.
I have not introduced group training here in Baton Rouge yet, but it should be coming soon, where we'll do small groups, so 2 or 3 individuals at a time, and we'll do kind of like a weekly or bi-weekly thing. But so we offer physical therapy, the one-on-one strength training service, and then as well just coaching like yourself.
Yep.
And it's just fun for us to be a part of the community here. In New Orleans, what was so cool was, and this probably, when you run around the lakes on a Saturday morning, you are waving at 75% of the people that go by, because
for sure.
you just know everybody around. And to be a part of that community in Baton Rouge and start to see familiar faces and start to hear that, man, this is something that we needed here for a long time. Or I've had people drive from Homa. I had somebody from Mississippi, somebody from Alabama come in, and there's just not a whole lot in our southeast region for this.
Right.
And so to have that, in front of us, and to see the runway in front of us where we can still grow, is pretty cool. So we're excited about being in Baton Rouge and New Orleans and what we can do.
So, and to get in touch with y'all, give us some information.
Yeah. thestrideshop.com is our website, where you can find,
the dog is chiming in right at the end, but that's okay.
She's excited.
Yeah.
You can schedule a consultation, which we do 15 to 20 minute consultations for free, if you're just wondering what it is we do and how we can help, or how we may be different than what you've had. You can find us on Instagram at The Stride Shop, or you can email us at thestrideshop.com. Even if you just have questions, or you just are wondering what we do or how we can help, reach out to us. We'd love to chat.
Well, and I'm for sure going to get in and come take advantage of your services in some way, shape, or form, and see what it's about. Because I have, like I said, I have sent some athletes there and with success, and on totally different ends of the spectrum, right? Like one a young kid and one, an old, not say older, but a 40-ish year old woman. And so coming at it from different things, one with an injury, one with some nagging form issues. Right. And so it's, interesting to see. And I'm mostly interested for me from the, to do some of the strength and mobility.
Yeah.
And that's the stuff that I think that we're going to dive into next. Anyway, this is Pat Fellows for myself and Naraj Vora from the Stride Shop. Thanks for listening to The Tempo, and we will be back again next week. Have a great day. Thanks for being in, man.